As the title and thumbnail suggests, the day-night cycle in Cat Goes Fishing is completely predictable, including storms, and you can fairly easily control it. The current version of the game, as of recording this, the previous update, the most recent, was the November 7th, 2019 hotfix. So if there's been an update, this may change, but I think it's been consistent since storms were a thing, and the day-night cycle, I think, was consistent since the day-night cycle was a thing, if that wasn't in the original release. But I'll not only be covering the times of day, night, and also storms, but also the mechanics that they use, so that you'll be able to utilize those mechanics to then control when it is day and night, and just essentially activate night or storms to catch whatever you're trying to catch. So first thing to point out, you may have noticed I have my system clock on screen. Hint hint, that's a little bit of a spoiler, but I will, just for your convenience, because I know a lot of you are probably just here for the exploit, I'll have the video divided into at least a couple chapters so that you can get to the main parts that you want. Although I think that this intro is probably going to take the majority of the video, but hey. So, first things first, you apparently do need to be level 14 to get night. That may have changed, but in the forums when I was looking for day-night cycle times before just testing it and figuring it out myself, there's a requirement, seems to be level 14 before night becomes a thing. So if you're not level 14, get to that before trying any of this, because otherwise you won't have night. Allegedly, seems to be the case. That's what the developers seem to be hinting at in the comments on Steam. But anyways, without the hat, which is a rare hat, the Nightfall Hat. If I mention a hat in the video, this is the hat. Using the hat, nighttime, it's always nighttime, there's no day, 100% night, and storms are more frequent and do have a longer duration. Well, technically, we'll get to that. Technically, they may have the same duration, but it's just they only occur at night, so if it's not night, then they would have a shorter duration, effectively. But now for the times, specifically for day and night without the hat, you've got it will be day for 51 minutes of the hour, and then night for the last 9 minutes. So say it's, in this case, 9:45 in 6 minutes, so starting at 9:51, night will start. And then it will continue, well, at 9:51. Once the clock changes to 9:51, it will begin transitioning to night. If for whatever magical reason the clock doesn't hit 9:51 but instead hits 9:56, then at that point it will transition to nighttime. And then once the next hour strikes, so in this case 10, then it will transition back to day. So if the clock at any point is between 9:51 and, well, 9:51 through 9:59, then it will transition to night. If it's any time other than that, so 10 or later, or 9 to 9:50, then it will transition to day. Now, with that out of the way, we can go into storms. So, naturally occurring storms will happen for the duration of the night, I believe. If not, then a good chunk of it. I believe it's the entire night, though, without the hat, every even hour. So, in this case, 9:51 to 10, it would just be a normal, or 9:51 to 9:59, I suppose, it would just be a normal night. However, 10:51 to 10:59 or to 11, it would be a stormy night, and then every other hour you'll have a storm. And I'll get going show examples of this in the part where I'm starting to control it. So with the night hat, however, that changes to be every hour, and rather than for the last 9 minutes, it's the last 14 minutes. So here we would actually be, that's actually kind of convenient. I will put on the hat and show you. Not only is it nighttime, but it should also start storming. And there you go, it's getting darker to indicate the storm. Wait for the thunder and lightning. And that's taking a while. There we go. There's some thunder. You get some lightning, as you would expect from storms. But now let's get to the next point. So if I were to fast forward magically to, say, 9:51. So in this case, remember, as I mentioned, storms only occur without the hat every other hour, so every even hour. In this case, it's 9:51, which would be the start of the nighttime without the hat. Sell the hat. Now, as you saw, it's lighter than it was before, indicating there is not a storm going on right now. I could wait forever and it wouldn't change. It would still be nighttime. Now, getting a day, it's easy. You can just wait whenever. You don't need to change the clock, but as you may have guessed, all I did there to get this to change was went in and changed the system clock. So for Windows, you can just right-click on your date and time setup, and then there is an option near the top, adjust date and time. That setting will come up. You'll be able to, I think I might be able to, no, not going to be able to show that, but there's a toggle for set time automatically. Turn that off. Set time zone automatically. That's not important. It really doesn't matter what time zone you're in. Although I should, yeah, it doesn't matter what time zone you're in. It's always even hours for storms and odd hours for, or any hour if you have the hat on, and then it's the last 9 minutes of the hour, or 14 minutes if you have the hat for storms. Yes, 14 for storms, last 9 minutes for storms or night, but then the storms will only occur on even hours if you don't have the hat, and they'll occur every hour for the last 14 minutes if you do have the hat. Nighttime with the hat, of course, is constant. So just to exemplify this, we're at 9:53. Let's change this to 9:50. As you can see, it's starting to get lighter and the music's starting to play. But then, as you remember, 9:55, let's say. Now it's getting dark and it will be not stormy. But if I were to change this to, let's say, 10:55, because it's an even hour, 10, even number. Boom, 10:55. See, it's getting darker. And you'll start getting thunder and lightning. Boom. But then similarly, change it to 10:50. Change. Now it is getting brighter and the music will start because it's now day. Similarly, 10:59, still nighttime. But then if I were to change this to 11 o'clock, boom, the wait button disappeared and it's getting brighter. It's daytime. And that will happen regardless of what time. So I'm changing it to, let's say, 12:34 p.m. change. As you can see, still daytime. Change it to 12:55, or I'll say 51 because that's the first minute without the hat. You have not just nighttime, but a storm. And I'll roll that back to, let's say, back to 11:46. Change that. As you can see, storm's off, and not only that, but it's also daytime. And then as a reminder, just in case you'd forgotten, change at 11:51 it is not a storm. But then if you put the hat on, because it's in the last 14 minutes, so 11:46 to 11:59, and you know, an infinitely small division close to noon, it is nighttime. But if I were to put the hat on, as you can see, it's getting darker, because now with the hat, it's every hour, last 14 minutes, we have a storm. And then, as a reminder, before this, so 45, let's change that. It's still night because of the hat, but it is no longer storm. As you noticed, it got a little bit brighter. But if I were to change this now to 11:46, it becomes stormy. As you can see, it's darkened a bit. And I should potentially mention that, yeah, you can't wait for daytime with the nightcap because there is no daytime to wait for. And I will also, though I am curious now, I didn't check this, but let's change it to 50. Okay, yep, still no night wait toggle. That would be an interesting little bug, but it is not the case. So now this is something that I didn't test, but with the night hat on, let's just check, make sure that yep, so the night did end, although that is AM. I should probably set that to PM just to make sure, because, you know, 11 to 12, yes, so it's still not stormy. The storm is still just the last 14 minutes with the hat on. There isn't a run over into that. So, and then of course, as I mentioned, it's every hour. So let's change this to 12:46. Well, let's go 12:45. There, it's 12:45. Still not a storm. But then if I change it to 12:46, it gets darker and we have a storm. It's as simple as that. And just in case, it should work for, since this is, you know, dependent on the hour, there shouldn't be any dependency on the date. It should just be fine, but this is currently June 30th, 2021 with Eastern time, but as I mentioned, the with the daylight savings automatically chosen, but as I mentioned, the time zone shouldn't matter. I even checked with the time zones that are half an hour shifted, and they also were just the system clock, the time reading here with the actual reading on the clock. 24-hour time should be the same because I'm giving everything in even and odd hours rather than specific times. So it should be pretty straightforward. It's easy to switch, so this is extremely useful for catching things, first of all, that are only available at night, but also More importantly, the things that are only available during storms, such as Stormies or... Oh, there we go. Oh, didn't see it. Wait for it. There we go. Did you see the ghost? And there's the ghost there. So, yes. I'll have a separate video on how to catch that. I do have one where I do catch it already up that I'll be editing down and putting out. That was during a stream, I think almost 2 years ago, if not more than, well, approximately 2 years ago. I think a little less, but that's the stream that I figured this out because there were other people trying to catch it with me, and the storms were just ending at the same time for everyone and appearing at the same time. So that was pretty neat. So that makes this easier. Thanks so much for watching, and hopefully I'll have, well, I'm streaming every Saturday now, but hopefully I'll have more content coming soon. See you in the next video that you decide to watch in a minute. Haven't heard that in a while, have ya? Goodbye.